you have great skills as an athlete, you can land any job, but then when it actually comes to that point of transition, they've already lost touch with the folks internally at the universities that can help them get to that point. So they need that stepping stone that the conference is going to provide of like, okay, now that I'm done and I've left this environment where I had so many resources at my fingertips, how can I empower myself mentally, my wellness journey, my career search journey, my finances? How can I package all of that together to begin a new journey where I'm chasing after the goals the same way in which I was and not be discouraged by this new environment that we know nothing about how to get to where we want to go?
Everybody, what's going on? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Athletes Unite Conference podcast. And I'm your host, Jonathan Jones, one half of the podcast, and just excited to continue to bring this content, excited to continue to introduce you to amazing people that you may have already known, but people that you get to see and learn, more about them. And as we're preparing for the conference and everything like that. So now on today's episode, I'm excited to introduce and to bring to you Miss Penelope Yamauchi, who is a career coach. And also I know that you have a lot of other things going on your side, Penelope, especially with Vendition. So at this time, welcome. And I want you just to take a little bit of time and go ahead and please expound upon, all the amazing things that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for the introduction. I'm really grateful to shed some light on my background and what I'm doing to help athletes bridge the gap between their current experience and what they hope to achieve in their professional career. Going back a little bit, in my formative years, I competed in swimming, where I was raised by hardworking parents and primarily by my mother, who showed me a great example of great work ethic. That ultimately led to earning a scholarship to compete at ASU, where, like many athletes, I pursued kinesiology, thinking I wanted to stay within sports and sports performance, and actually ultimately changed my major to communications. And after graduating, competing in the Olympic trials, I felt completely lost. And every athlete I encountered beyond that point, I never wanted them to have that feeling again. So I spent the next decade in my career working in jobs that did just that, help bridge the gap between non-traditional backgrounds and experiences. And what we have to look back and as athletes is, what were our superpowers back then as athletes, and how can we shape that into our career? So that's my mission. I work for a company called Vendition that helps folks break into software sales, but really within the alignment of this conference and having known the founder, Classy James, for so long, I'm so excited about the mental health aspect, career aspect, and everything under the sun that these athletes are going through. So thanks so much for having me today, Jonathan.
Oh yeah, definitely. Glad to have you. And I'm curious just to hear a little bit more about, the work that you're doing in terms of like the career coaching. And I know we're talking just before we hopped on, and you were saying you're making it happen out here. Really helping some athletes come into some careers. And so I'd love just to hear more about that and more about what you do with Vendition as well.
Thank you, Jonathan. So Vendition was actually founded by a former VP of sales and former athlete, James Nielsen, who competed in Ironmans. He was an engineer turned salesperson, became a VP, and he recognized that there's a sweet spot of people who have about 3 months of exposure to the tech sales field, that they really hit the ground running and start to have success. And he wanted to solve that problem of access for anyone to learn this education for free and be able to break into the tech industry. And from a company perspective, helping bridge the gap in diversifying their teams while also getting candidates that were prepped and ready to go. So what we do here at Vendition is we give a free sales boot camp about how to actually thrive in a tech sales development type of role. And after taking that boot camp, our program essentially enables many steps, but the part that I'm involved in is interview prep. So I run group sessions where I give people an opportunity to practice like we have as athletes and get better and take feedback and implement it. They get a one-on-one mock interview and a plethora of resources that help them along their way. And as athletes, we're so humble, so we're not comfortable sharing our success stories. So I really get people outside of their comfort zone, share their superpowers and how those tangible skill sets from athletic actually apply to specific jobs. In doing so, once they begin a job, they get paired with a coach from Vendition when they're at that company for their 3-month apprenticeship. So it's almost like going into a company for your very first job and then having your own nutritionist or weight coach working with you behind the scenes to ensure that you have peak performance in your first 3 months of the role so that you can continue to develop within that company.
Oh wow, that's really awesome. Because I can see how that can easily make it a smooth transition coming into a company, getting some experience, and having like that coach, that guide, or like that mentor with you. That's pretty cool. I wish I knew more about different stuff like that. That I never knew anything about that when I got out of college. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And we take everything very seriously here. There are folks who've never created a LinkedIn profile or resume before. So we have all kinds of templates and resources and revisions and feedback. These are things that people typically aren't getting in their transition. They're hitting a job application button and getting an automated rejection email. But we live in a world where we have these relationships with the hiring managers. We can hype somebody up, say, this person just finished playing competitively. They dedicated 30 plus hours a week to their sport. And this is how they're transferable to your role. So we kind of work with you almost like your agent behind the scenes to help you get those interviews.
Wow, that's super neat. That's super neat. And how long have you been in this space of career coaching and doing this work? Like, was this something that you've always had a passion for, and just in terms of like assisting to help people make that transition, or how did you come into this? Because it seems like a match made in heaven.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. So I want everyone to think back to when they were in their club sport or their formative years of playing sports. What role did they play on the team? For me, it was making everyone feel comfortable, cheerful, positivity, a part of the team, and being a leader by example. And my coach used to always say, "You're going to be a great coach one day." And I never had aspirations of being a swim coach, but that kept ringing in my head. I wonder what he meant by that. And as I went throughout college, I found my first internship, my first volunteer opportunity. My younger sister at the time was at UC Santa Barbara. And so I'd call her and say, okay, here's how you need to fix your resume. Go into the athletics department and volunteer for this job, build everything up. And so that's where my desire to mentor really started. And it just kept building. I'll never forget, I took my first job in sports and I got to hire on a class of interns at the age of 23. And I got to coach them into their first sports jobs. I was like, man, I'm really good at this. Like something's tuning in. So I went into a position doing sales for a company called Zipcar, a car sharing service that I was good at, but not deeply passionate about. And it was during that time after work on the side, I'd make phone calls to other people that I wanted to help and say, hey, yeah, I can introduce you to this friend that works at this company, kind of giving them tips behind the scene. I'm like, man, if I'm doing this for free, I must really love it. And that's what led me to working for a company called Athletes to Careers that helps athletes land their first role after they're done competing. And I continued to feed into that skill and that energy and just keep building on it because I recognized even though I wasn't best student in college or high school, I had this gift of energy, positivity, and empowering people to go after their goals and helping them get there.
Gotcha. So what would you say is the most fulfilling part about just the work that you're doing now? What like what's the part that gets you excited about, getting up and going to work every day?
There are a lot of people who have self-doubt hidden underneath their accomplishments. Maybe they have huge accolades as it relates to some specific area of their life, in this case, athletics, that they've been so good at and they've practiced for so long. And they expect themselves to perform at that elite level no matter what they do. So they get into the interview experience, they're very vulnerable, they shame themselves for not being able to perform well right out of the gate. The minute that I get past that shame into analogizing their experiences to what they can actually do, and that light bulb moment goes off where they're now able to articulate their successes and connect the dots, and they start to have that confidence creep up, and then they're getting closer to their goal. Seeing that light bulb moment for me is the most rewarding aspect because it's always been there. It's just my job as their coach to unzip the bag because the tools are already inside.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's really powerful. That's a really powerful position, and even for you to take that position, you're giving credit to, to the young leader. So I can applaud that. I definitely can applaud that. Why do you think that it's important for athletes to unite?
For my role specifically, why is that important for athletes to unite?
Well, actually, in general. So, like with with you having the role that you have, and knowing that you're going to be a part of the Athletes Unite conference coming up in July 15th and 16th. I'm just curious to hear your perspective on why is it valuable for athletes to unite.
Yes, absolutely. So my experience and the way that I've enabled people to achieve their goals is a value add, because it's all about instilling a belief in people that they can achieve whatever they're going after, despite whatever adversities they've been told. Athletes have gone throughout their high school, college, maybe professional experience, being told by everyone, you have great skills as an athlete, you can land any job. But then when it actually comes to that point of transition, they've already lost touch with the folks internally at the universities that can help them get to that point. So they need that stepping stone that the conference is going to provide of like, okay, now that I'm done and I've left this environment where I had so many resources at my fingertips, how can I empower myself mentally, my wellness journey, my career search journey, my finances? How can I package all of that together to begin a new journey where I'm chasing after the goals the same way in which I was, and not be discouraged by this new environment that we know nothing about how to get to where we want to go?
Good. That's good. I like the way you broke that down, and I think it's really necessary, especially just looking at life, right? Being able to break things down, and like they say, the best way to eat the elephant is one bite at a time. So understanding that as we transition to the different phases and the places that we go, being able to break those things down, like you said, one goal at a time, little by little, bit by bit. So with the conference coming up in July, and we're going to have all these athletes, we're going to have former athletes, we're going to have student athletes, we're going to have entrepreneurs, business owners, and everything like that in this space at the same time, and we're going to blow the roof off Atlanta. I'm curious to hear what's the piece that you're most looking forward to about the conference? What gets you excited about July 15th and 16th?
What gets me excited is every single speaker that Classy has selected for this conference comes from a deeply rooted place of wanting to help and also being vulnerable. So the stories that you're going to hear throughout the different panels and conversations aren't just your typical questions. They're coming from a birthplace of pain and experience and challenge and overcoming adversity. And so what I'm most excited about are complete strangers who are going to be hearing these speakers for the first time. They're going to be able to connect with these stories in a way that's powerful beyond belief, because they really haven't had this type of format infusion of vulnerability and exposure to so many different emotional experiences in one place at one time before.
Oh, that's good. Wow, that's good. Vulnerability. Yeah. Yeah, that's good, because I believe that the best way to connect with people is at the heart level, and by being vulnerable. I think that's really how people can see through all the stuff, but be able to connect. So I really love that you hit on that, and looking forward to hearing from you at the conference. But until then, Penelope, please let people know the best way that they can find you, follow you, and connect with you at this time.
Yes. So number one, if you're on LinkedIn, you can find me, Penelope Yamauchi, spelled Penelope like Penelope Cruz, and Yamaguchi without the G, like the ice skater. So that said, I'm also on Instagram at coach.penelope. And of course, we'll continue to blast out through social. But if you add me on LinkedIn, definitely add a note sharing that you're going to be attending the conference. And if you want specific feedback on your LinkedIn profile of how you could improve to get to your goal, I'll take the time to respond and give you that feedback.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Penelope, thank you so much for taking the time to stop by, for sharing a little bit of your story, and taking the time really just to grace the platform and the podcast. And everybody out there, make sure that if you have not gotten your tickets, get your tickets so you can connect with Penelope, not just on LinkedIn, not just on Instagram, but in real time, in person, down in Atlanta, July 15th and 16th. We will have the links down in the show notes, so you can get your tickets, and you can pop in the promo code And then you can join us where we're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about mental health. We're going to get to have some real vulnerable conversations. So Penelope, once again, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing a little bit of your story and your insight with us here today. So thank you.
You're so welcome, Jonathan. Like he said, share, folks. The more you share, the more you can empower anyone in your same shoes to achieve their goals. Thank you, Jonathan.
Excellent. And everybody out there, until next time, this is the Athletes Unite Conference podcast, and we will see you in Atlanta. Okay, take care, and we'll see you soon.